Greetings all. I normally end my videos by saying peace. When I make a video like this, I tell you to stay safe. Take some time to relax and watch the sunrise or the sunset, because I know you're bombarded with information specifically designed to stress you out. Two days ago, these skies were blue. Not even 2 days ago, last week, skies were blue. Today there's a measure of gray in there, some dust coming off the Sahara, Sahel. But in the flow of things, like I always, talk about this flow, these rivers that flow. And all, look at the birds are still flying, the trees are green, and you're getting flooded with information that fearful. That garden that I'm talking about, the beauty of the garden is not just Adam and Eve there. Anyway, we're not there about this Adam and Eve subject this morning. We're there about the events taking place. And I'm telling people, many of my videos I mentioned this 3 years, 3-year period. 3-year period of events. Many things are happening, and there are lots of people begin to look at these events and tie them together. No, many of you don't have the time, and you're working hard, especially if you're African and you're left Africa to go out and make lots of money, because you say, I have to make a lot of money in order to live in Africa. I have to build a big house. I have to compete with the neighbor who's building a big house. Gotta show my family, gotta make my family rich. I'm not speaking against that. This is not it. But you you find yourself in a position where you're working hard to accomplish a task, and the moment you sit down, you see around you, man, things are falling apart. What am I going to do now? Well, the position you're in, there's not much you can do to affect the events that are taking place around you. You cannot change those events. You have no power to change those events. Listen to people in Europe, people of power, talking about what they want to do with Africa, how they're going to help Africa. And they were saying, threatening, if you don't do what we say, we are going to do this to Africa. The last, the Germans, one of my favorite bloggers went to Germany to interview a spokesman for the chancellor, who spoke on the things that Germany wants to do in Africa. But nowhere in it was the interviewer asking what did Germany do in the past in Africa, and why should we trust you to do anything now? Not one question. The pride of being before this Caucasian overwhelmed his sense of, hey, you're one of those people who tried to destroy my people. You have to explain why, and why should we believe you now? The pride of standing before this Caucasian was overwhelming. He couldn't ask these questions. African leaders gathered in Washington, and every one of them came home not seeing what was about to happen in the last week in the US. And that's something I spoke about when Ghana took on a loan from, it was 3 billion. They said, look, in 3 years you're gonna be paying, you won't be paying off the loan, but now you'll have a loan for 6 billion. And as you can see, what I'm saying, or what I said then, is proving to be correct. This is not a thing that I'm bragging about. I'm just warning you. And you're not taking it seriously. Every president in Africa went or their representative went to Washington, came home not seeing these things. They are not warning their people about these things. Everybody is looking at the future through these rose-colored glasses, dark glasses or whatever they're using, and not seeing what is happening. After the bank failures began in the US, the president came out and says, I'm here to assure Americans that you're safe. He wasn't talking to all Americans. He was talking to the people who had 2, 3, 4 billion in those banks. And those people were calling his office and say, hey, what are you doing to get my money back? Those people have direct link to the president. If they don't know him personally, they know somebody in his office. If you look at all the businesses that had large amount of capital, 3, 4, 5, 10 billion in those banks, many of them were tech companies. And no tech company can reach the level of success in America, say Google, Meta, IBM, even smaller tech companies that are not worth trillions, Apple, that not worth trillions. Even those small tech companies have backers like Soros. And there are others that, this name you know, but there are other names that you don't know that I can't call. But they have backers who they can call them and say, hey, look, we have this money in this bank. And the White House will get a call and say, hey, we can't let these people fail. But then there's another cadre of people that own part of every corporation in America that has something to do with the infrastructure, whether it be the car makers, the road builders, the energy producers. Every one of them there's a stake by this one corporation in America. And everybody knows this corporation, but nobody would put the two together. And the government has to listen to this one corporation. Anyway, you may not have the time or think you have the time to watch the events as they unfold and then act with the necessity that you're supposed to act. Every wealthy African should be able to call every president of a state in Africa. If you're a Ghanaian, you should be able to call the president of Nigeria. Nigerians should be able to call the president of Ghana. I'm not saying everyone, but those with wealth who control large portions of the African economy should supposed to be able to do that. They should be able to say, hey, Mr. President, I see something happening that you should be informed about. Get your people to take a look at this because they think it's going to affect you. If you don't have it, get it in place. You're a man looking for fame and fortune, going to Europe to interview people, can't help. I'm not trying to put anybody down. I'm just trying to straighten out a situation that we get out of balance. We out of balance with what is going on. Therefore, the situation we are seeing now, we are going to react to it. Some people want to throw up their hands and say, I can't do anything about it. Some people are going to react, so we're going to come up with the wrong reaction. But Africa needs to be on the right page right now. I'm serious. Today, you need to be. So much money goes back and forth across the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean through the banking system, controlled by America and Europe. Well, America, Europe. Europe's banking system is already, people are not looking at Swiss Bank and HSBC or the Bundesbank. They're not looking at these banks. They're not looking at Barclays because they're thinking about the Queen when they see Barclays. But these banks, nobody is talking about them. But there's a serious problem going on. And if money starts flowing into Africa, what will Africa do? I need the vloggers in Africa to start looking at these things. It's I'm not saying don't entertain your audience, but you have to get your audience up to speed and quickly. My platform is for about less than 1% of the biggest guys in Africa. But I hope my words can reach their ear, because the time, as you can see, it's like a circle, and that circle is closing. And if you're inside that circle, the circle of African, when it closes, it's like the jaws of an alligator closing on the neck of a wildebeest. There's very little. The percentage of that wildebeest escaping is very, very, very low. So my brothers, my sisters, wherever you are, if you are a wealthy in Africa, act. Talk to every president you can. Warn them about the impending catastrophic events that can befall all of Africa. It may look like the President of the United States steps up and say, yeah, we got it under control. But if you look at the situation carefully, go back and look at the history. 2008, 6 months before 2008, that's what the president said. We got it all under control, and for about a few weeks after that, things kind of like, oh, we're back to singing Happy Days. That's what they're doing in America. 6 months later, guess what? Before that, we have to go back to 1980 to find what happened now. And before that, 1971, before that, prior to World War II, 1923, 29, 33. See, you guys don't know this history. didn't read it. You didn't. They didn't teach you in Africa about these things. They don't teach you about the failures of this Caucasian. You just going to Europe because that's where the money is. Going to America because that's where the money is. You think for a time it will be like that, but like always, that cycle, that river returns to the source. It flows. Everything flows back. Everything flows back to where it starts. Salmon run. They run upstream, lay eggs. The eggs hatch. Little salmon go out to the ocean. In the passage of time, they come right back to where they were born. After the last catastrophe, people were wiped off the continent of North America. Africans came out of Africa and spread all over the world again, that river. I'm not trying to scare you, just warning. And there are a lot of people doing that. There are lots and lots of people doing that. In the midst of this beautiful day and the chaos around you, try to find a little bit of relaxation and peace. Have a great day wherever you are. Like I said, this is not to scare you. Information is information. Not good or bad, it's how you use it. Marley made a song called Exodus. Sit down and listen to it. All right, peace.